Okay, so here's a breakdown of 100,000 Years lead solo by Ace Frehley. So coming out of the vocal part, you have Paul Stanley kind of doing just an E to D note. And on top of that, on the B string, Ace is doing a G to an F sharp back and forth. He does that a couple more times. And then we get, just before the solo, we get a... That's just an A chord to a G chord. You could also go however you want to do that. Or you could let the rhythm guitar do that. So the very first part of the solo, Ace is on a high G note, which is on the E string. Okay, right up in the 15th fret. Okay, on the studio version he doesn't do this. This is from the live version. And then he does that a bunch of different times with some different rhythms. Like you get like a... And there's that... And that's just a... You just kind of honk away on the 12th fret there to just create a G chord, because Paul is going from an E minor to a G, so you could do it... Or you could just let the rhythm handle that. But anyway, that's a high note, high G note. And he's just bending the hell out of it. And this solo is so much of Ace just doing one note bends, which is really, really cool. So you just kind of bend the hell out of that. And then, so after he does that a bunch of times, that is let me see, a D note on the 12th fret on the D string, so we're up an octave. Down to a C. That'd be a B note. Back up to that D, C. And here's a neat little bit where he kind of bends the shit out of a note. We're going to go from a D to an E, and then a G, A. So it's a nice little box, kind of a pattern. Just, you know, some nice hammer-ons. And then we take that A note and we just kind of bend the hell out of it and do all kinds of neat things like harmonics. I don't have a pick here, so I'll use my fingernail. You just kind of end with a little pull-up, and that final note is a G. And then you get, a lot of his leads are based on the pentatonic scale, but every now and again he throws in some really nice chromatic stuff and some nice melodic stuff. So what you have here is just a melodic scale, which is just the G major scale. And I'm not exactly sure how far, it's kind of quicker. That's the way I've always done it. It might be off by a note or two. Again, that little pull off, and kind of end on the G again. And you get a lot of that, say in Love Gun, he does some of that stuff as well. So he just loves to throw in those little scales, right? So you get that. Now there's this really odd little thing, which I've never heard anyone else do. It's just the oddest kind of thing. And I'm not even playing it right, but Ace does something that sounds kind of like... And basically it's like it's a pull off onto the G note, it's the G string up an octave, and just kind of fall back onto that E. You know, it could be a, if you wanted to, but just kind of staying in the position. I just kind of go on the G string, and then an E down on the D string. So it's like the 12th and 14th frets. So it's like a... It's just the oddest little thing that he does there, and that's not quite right. There's a couple little odd little notes in there, but the closest I could come to doing what he's doing is kind of like that. Back to that A note. Just kind of back and forth between the A and the G. And then back to that old weird formation again. Okay, now on the B string, that high D note, coming back to the B note, which is your 12th fret, so we're on the B string, D and B. Just those two notes, back and forth. Then that little weird formation again. And then we get that little drum solo, however long you want to do that, and finally come back into some vocal parts. Paul does something like, sorry to have taken so long, and then we're right down here on the 2nd fret in the E minor position, and Ace just does like a, you know, just a bend. Okay, so that's like an A note. Pull off and a little E. Could be a trill between the E and the D on the D string. Sorry to have taken so long. Must have been a bitch when I was gone. This is a neat little bit. It's not quite, well, it's kind of in the melodic scale, I guess. We're on the G and the B strings, and I'm on the 14th fret. Okay, so I'm just taking those two strings in the same fret. Da 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 da. So just take that A note on the G string, and then you're just taking these two, the B and the E string on the 12th fret. So it's a bend, and then that D on the B string. So that whole part is, sorry to have taken so long. Must have been a bitch while I was gone. Mind if I sit down for a while, we babe? And then the A and the G chord again. Now, here's a neat little bit. The second half of the solo is almost a repeat of the first one, but he has a neat little ascension going up, okay? And just kind of staying in the key of G or E minor. All of these notes you can play on the same two strings. So I'm using the G string and the B string. And here I'm on the 7th fret. So that's just an extension of the D major chord. And just kind of picking back and forth. Or you can use like a pick. But it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, and it just takes practice. It's a mechanical thing more than anything else. The trick is with the right hand, but just getting those two notes together. So just go through that again. We're on the 7th fret. This is just an extension of the D chord. Okay? Then we're going to come up, and now I'm using my index and my middle finger because we're two different frets. And this is an extension of the E minor chord. Okay, E minor chord, just go from that D up to an E minor. Take that whole formation up two more, so you're an F sharp minor chord. Now on the 12th fret, we're in the same, again in the same two strings, but this time we're in the same fret, so this is just an extension of the G chord. Come up two more, and it's an extension of the A chord. Okay, now this time using alternates, a minor position, so just using alternate frets, and this is sort of an extension of the B minor chord. Come up two more frets, and I guess you'd be into a C sharp minor. Alright, so just that ascension again. And when he gets there, he just kind of goes back and forth between those two. And then back down the exact same way he came, right? So A, G, F sharp minor, E minor. And then to come out, you just repeat exactly what we learned before. Oops, I'm using finger picking here. Then you do like that. So it's just like an E, you know, just think about an E minor chord, right? We're just using those two notes there. Okay, so that's 100,000 years. And I'm Jeff. See you later.